Okay.
And you fucking do this shit?
Well, here's criminal charges for you.
Fuck you.
You did it to yourself, dude. Come on.
I did it to myself.
You did?
You're a fucking idiot.
Well, now you have additional
You're a-
charges for no reason.
You're
I mean,
a fucking idiot. You're a fucking stupid motherfucker.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I don't know why you did it, dude. I did it for no reason.
A cup of coffee flies through the air, and in the next 3 seconds, everything goes wrong. Not just wrong, violently wrong. Hot latte splashes across a police officer's face. People scream, chairs scrape the floor, and before anyone can even process what just happened, a young woman is slammed to the ground like she's a dangerous criminal. But here's the question no one asked when this clip went viral. What made her do it? Because viral videos are dangerous like that. They show you just enough to form an opinion, but never enough to understand the truth. The woman in that video? Her name is Tasha Coleman, 28 years old, a barista, no criminal record, known by coworkers as quiet, patient, the kind of person who apologizes even when something isn't her fault. So how does someone like that end up in one of the most aggressive arrests caught on camera this week? It started as a normal shift, busy cafe, long line, the kind of pressure that builds slowly, quietly, until something cracks. Tasha had been on her feet for hours, short-staffed, no manager in sight, just her, a growing crowd, and a string of impatient customers. Then he walked in. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Just another customer, another order, another interaction that should have taken less than 2 minutes. But something about this one didn't sit right. Witnesses would later describe the moment like this. The energy changed, subtle at first, then undeniable. Voices got louder, movements sharper, tension thick enough to feel from across the room. And then someone picked up their phone and started recording. By the time police arrived, the situation looked simple, too simple. A loud employee, a calm customer, a story that seemed already decided before anyone asked questions. And then came that moment, the one you've probably already seen. The throw, the rush, the takedown. But here's what that viral clip doesn't show you. It doesn't show what was said right before the coffee left her hand. It doesn't show why her voice was shaking, and it definitely doesn't show the one detail that changes everything. So before you decide what really happened here, ask yourself this. Was this an aggressive arrest or a reaction to something much darker? Because the truth doesn't start with the throw. It starts before the cameras caught anything at all. And once you see that part, you won't look at this incident the same way again. Before we continue with this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for updates. What if I told you the latte wasn't the problem? Not even close, because 10 minutes before that cup ever left Tasha's hand, something else had already gone wrong, and almost no one noticed it at the time. Let's rewind. The cafe is loud, orders stacking up, machines hissing, people shifting impatiently in line. Tasha is moving fast, taking orders, calling names, trying to keep everything from falling apart. You've seen that kind of rush before, right? The kind where one small disruption can throw everything off. Then, Mark Reynolds, 42, steps up to the counter. At first, it's routine. He orders a drink, Tasha makes it, hands it over. Simple. But within seconds, his expression changes. He takes one sip, pauses, and then his voice cuts through the noise. This is wrong. Not loud at first, but sharp, controlled, the kind of tone that demands attention. Tasha immediately apologizes, offers to remake it, standard procedure, no argument. But Mark doesn't move. Instead, he leans in closer. I said it's wrong. Now people are watching. Tasha tries again, calm, professional. I can fix it for you, no problem. But that's not what he wants. He starts raising his voice, questioning her competence, mocking her. And then comes the first red flag. He refuses to pay. Now think about that for a second. If it's really about the drink, why refuse a solution? Why escalate? Tasha's hands start to shake slightly. She glances around. No manager, no backup, just customers watching, some already pulling out their phones. Then, something happens that wasn't in the viral video. Mark steps around the side of the counter. Just one step, but it crosses a line. Tasha immediately backs up. Her posture changes. This isn't frustration anymore. It's discomfort even. Witnesses later say you could feel the shift. The air got heavier. Conversation stopped. Tasha tells him to step back, firm this time. He doesn't. Instead, he smirks. And then he says something low enough that most people don't catch it, but enough that Tasha hears it clearly. Her face changes instantly. That's the moment everything begins to unravel. A customer quietly calls the police. But here's where it gets even more interesting. By the time officers arrive, Mark is no longer loud, no longer aggressive. He's calm, composed, almost a cooperative. And Tasha? She's the one who looks shaken, emotional, struggling to hold it together. So when the officers step in and scan the room, who do you think they focus on first? Because what happens next isn't just a misunderstanding. It's the moment the entire story flips and Tasha loses control of the narrative. From verbal to violent in seconds. 2 officers walk in, and within less than a minute, the entire story changes direction. Have you ever noticed how quickly perception becomes reality? Because the second officers Daniel Brooks, 34, and Evan Cruz step into that cafe, they're not seeing 10 minutes of tension. They're seeing a snapshot. And snapshots can lie. Mark is the first to speak. Calm voice, relaxed posture, hands visible. He doesn't raise his tone, doesn't interrupt, doesn't even look angry anymore. If anything, he looks like the most reasonable person in the room. She just started yelling at me, he says, shaking his head slightly. I asked for a simple fix. Simple, clean, convincing. Now compare that to Tasha.
She's breathing fast, words coming out too quickly, trying to explain everything at once. The wrong drink, the refusal to pay, the step behind the counter, the comment he made. But here's the problem. When you're emotional, people don't always hear what you're saying. They react to how you're saying it. And the officers, they start focusing on her. Ma'am, calm down. That phrase hits harder than it should. Because to Tasha, it feels like she's already not being believed. She tries again, slower this time, but she's interrupted. Step outside for a moment. Now pause right there. Why her? Why not separate both parties? Why not ask questions first? This is where things begin to slip. Tasha hesitates, just for a second. She looks back at the counter, at the line, at the drinks still waiting. It's a reflex, responsibility. But to the officers, it looks like resistance. Ma'am, step outside, now. The tone changes, sharper, less patient. And then something small, almost invisible happens. Mark leans slightly toward her as the officers shift their attention. His lips move. No one hears it clearly in the moment, but Tasha does. Her entire body stiffens. Her eyes widen just a fraction, and suddenly everything inside her snaps. She grabs the nearest cup. Before anyone can process it, she throws it. The latte hits Officer Brooks square across the chest and shoulder, splashing upward. Gasps fill the room. Someone screams. A chair tips over. And just like that, the situation explodes. No, wait! Tasha tries to speak, but it's already too late. The officers surge forward. Hands grab her arms. Force, fast, overwhelming. She's pulled, twisted, driven down hard against the floor. Phones are up everywhere now. People shouting, "Hey, that's too much! She didn't... Stop!" But chaos doesn't listen. In less than 5 seconds, Tasha goes from standing behind a counter to pinned on the ground, wrists forced behind her back. And the video, the one that goes viral, ends right there. But here's what most people didn't see. In the corner of another recording, barely noticeable, there's a moment, a single second, right before the throw. And in that second, Mark says something that changes everything. The footage they didn't expect. What if the truth was hiding in plain sight the entire time? Not in the viral clip, not in the police report, but in a video almost no one bothered to watch all the way through. Because days after the incident, when the outrage had already split the internet in half, a second angle surfaced. Grainy, slightly tilted, filmed from behind the counter. At first, it doesn't look like much, just another recording in a sea of uploads. But then people start slowing it down, zooming in, replaying one specific moment over and over again. And that's when everything shifts. You see Mark again, same position, same calm posture the officers walked into. But this time, you're closer, close enough to notice the details. The way he leans in, not aggressively, but intentionally. The kind of movement meant to stay under the radar. His face just inches from Tasha's. And then his lips move. There's no clear audio, just noise from the cafe. But his expression? Cold, focused, controlled. Tasha freezes. It's subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Her shoulders tense, her breathing changes, her eyes lock onto him like she's trying to process what she just heard. And then the officers step in. Now here's where it gets critical. Frame by frame, the timing becomes clear. Mark speaks, Tasha reacts, officers intervene. And within seconds, the latte is thrown. The timeline isn't random anymore, it's connected. Witnesses begin coming forward, quiet at first, then more confident. He said something to her. I couldn't hear it, but it didn't look right. She got scared, that's what it looked like. Then someone brings in a lip-reading specialist. And the interpretation? You're going to regret this. 4 words, that's it. But those 4 words change the entire narrative. Because now the question isn't, why did she throw the coffee? It's, what was she reacting to? Public opinion starts to turn fast. The same comment sections that called her aggressive now ask a different question. Why didn't the officers notice? And that's when pressure builds. Requests for body cam footage flood in. Media outlets pick up the story. The department releases a short statement, brief, controlled, careful. But it's not enough, because people aren't just watching anymore. They're investigating. And when the body cam footage is finally reviewed, it reveals something even more unsettling. Something the officers experienced, but never reported. What really happened, and what it cost everyone. So what actually happened in that cafe? Not the version clipped into 20 seconds, not the version written in a rushed report. The full story. When the body cam footage is finally released, it fills in the missing pieces, clearly, definitively, and without room for interpretation. You can see Mark standing just a few feet away when Mark leans in toward Tasha. The angle is slightly off, but the audio picks it up, low, almost under his breath. You're going to regret this. And here's the part that changes everything. Brooks hears it. There's a slight pause, a glance, a moment where he could have stepped in, could have asked a simple question. But he doesn't. Instead, the focus stays on Tasha, who seconds later reacts. Not randomly, not aggressively for no reason, but as someone who felt cornered, threatened, and completely unsupported in that moment. The latte throw wasn't the start of the incident. It was the breaking point. Once that context becomes public, the entire case begins to unravel. Logical payoff? Clear. Tasha wasn't the primary aggressor. She was reacting to a direct verbal threat and a situation that had already escalated beyond control. Emotional payoff? It hits hard. In her first interview after the footage release, Tasha struggles to keep her voice steady. She describes the moment she hit the floor, not as anger, but as confusion. She says, "I thought they heard it. I thought someone would step in." That line sticks with people, because it's not just about what happened, it's about what didn't happen. Then come the consequences, and they're real. All charges against Tasha are officially dropped within weeks. The department launches an internal investigation into both officers. Officer Brooks is placed on administrative leave pending review. Officer Cruz receives formal retraining on de-escalation protocols. The cafe implements new safety policies and hires floor supervisors for peak hours. And Mark Reynolds, identified, publicly criticized, and quietly banned from multiple businesses in the area. The ripple effect is undeniable. Reputations damaged, policies changed, conversations sparked. But the most important shift happens with Tasha. Weeks later, she walks back into the same cafe, same space, same counter, but she's not the same person. She's calmer, more aware, stronger, but also more cautious. She now helps train new employees on handling conflict, making sure no one else feels as alone as she did in that moment. And that's the final piece of this story. Because what looked like the most aggressive arrest this week wasn't just about aggression, it was about perception, about how quickly a moment can be misunderstood, and how dangerous it is when the full story isn't seen until it's almost too late.